لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله
نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وسندنا ومولانا محمد أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Very respected brothers, honorable listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in one narration narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he mentions that Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilma sahhala Allahu bihi tariqan ila al-jannah wa kama qala Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions that individual who walks on a path in which he is striving to learn knowledge. He is walking on a path and his only intention is, and he is trying himself to gain this knowledge. Sahhala Allahu lahu tariqan ila al-jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in return for this hardship that he will encounter on this path, in exchange for the trouble that he will cause in learning the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what will he give him? Sahhala Allahu bihi lahu tariqan ila al-jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the path towards Jannah easy for this individual. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide him to the path of paradise. In another narration, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions that talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslim aw kama qala Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that seeking knowledge is an obligation on each and every Muslim. That learning knowledge is not just the duty of an alim or a student of deen. No, this is the duty and this is the obligation of each and every individual who believes in the kalima la ilaha illallah, who has accepted that there is none worthy of worship besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Imam Ahmed rahmatullahi alayhi, he was once asked that what is the knowledge that is an obligation on each and every Muslim to learn. That this hadith mentions that each and every Muslim is obligatory for him to gain knowledge. What knowledge is this? What knowledge does an individual need to learn to fulfill this hadith? Imam Ahmad, he replied, by which that knowledge by which he can stand and he can act upon the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That each and every fundamental of this deen, that everything that is known as the fundamentals of this deen, he needs to have such knowledge, sufficient knowledge, that he is able to act upon these tenets of deen without any troubles whatsoever. And then Imam Ahmad, he gave a few examples. He mentions some, like the actions of Salaah, of wudu. He gave the actions of Hajj, of Zakat, of Sawm, of fasting in Ramadan. These are such things that an individual, that he has to carry these out at least once in a year. And when it comes to Salah, it's 5 times a day. So these are such things that if an individual who doesn't possess knowledge of these things, then he cannot act upon the basics and the fundamentals of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed him to act upon. When this individual, he says La ilaha illallah, he is submitting himself to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed me to do so, that is what I will do and that is what I will act upon. Regardless what is my own desires, I will put them to aside Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do in this worldly life, that is what I will act upon. So learning this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and especially when it comes to salah, after tawheed, like I mentioned earlier, after the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most important action is that of salah. And this is the most frequent action that is done in the life of a Muslim. So learning this is an obligation and is wajib upon each and every one of us, that we have sufficient knowledge when it comes to salah. That we know which things break our salah, which things will break our wuzu. Because without our wuzu, our namaz is not done. So wuzu is also a wajib and obligation of salah. So which things will break our wuzu? Which things will break our salah? If such things are omitted from my salah, will my salah be complete or will it be incomplete? These are all things that each and every Muslim should have knowledge on. And this is what we will try to tackle in this course, inshallah. Over the coming weeks, we will talk about each and every aspect of our deen, of this salah. And inshallah, we will mention this from our hadith and from the evidences mentioned by Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He mentions, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Though insan, we did not create the insan and we did not create the jinnat other than for one purpose and one purpose alone, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That so they may carry out the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ulama mention under this word إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, other than the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pertaining to this, there are two knowledges that an individual must possess. The first of these knowledges is of aqeedah, of the beliefs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is incumbent on each and every Muslim that he has the correct aqeedah, the correct beliefs when it comes to regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the companions of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, each and every part of this, these come under the aqeedah of the science of beliefs. And we must first correct the beliefs in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second knowledge that each and every one of us must possess is the manner of worship. Of إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us for one objective, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the manner of this worship? The best and the highest form of worship is that of salah. So what is the manner and in which way does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want me to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If my only objective living on this earth, if my only objective on being on this earth, in breathing the air that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me, on eating the food and the rizq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me, if my only objective after this is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what is the mannerism in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to worship Him? That is what the ulama mentioned under this ayat, that this is what each and every one of us need to possess. So this course is the fiqh of salah. Let's break down what is fiqh in itself. Fiqh, when it comes to the meaning of fiqh, linguistically fiqh means understanding. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions in a narration that مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ, أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. That whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes good for, whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to bless, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him the understanding of deen. Now the meaning of fiqh when it comes to Islamically and technically, the meaning that the scholars give is that the ulama mentioned that معرفة الأحكام الشرعية العملية بأدلتها التفصيلية. That the meaning of fiqh is that we know the practical Islamic rulings with the detailed evidences that have been mentioned. So this science of fiqh, what does this contain? Number one, it contains practical Islamic rulings. So in the science of fiqh, we are not going to find stories. We are not going to find anything to do with stories of the past. These are only rulings of our practical a'mal. That whatever we need to carry out in our day-to-day lives, we will find these rulings in the fiqh, in the science of fiqh. And we will find them with the evidences that go with them. So the evidences that we will prove that what we need to carry out in our daily lives, this is what is found in the science of fiqh. And this is what it means when we say Fiqh of Salah, we are talking about the practical rulings that are pertaining to Salah. And the evidences that go with these, this is what we will be talking about in the coming weeks, inshallah. Now, fiqh in itself is a broad topic. And with regards to fiqh in itself, the largest topic in fiqh in itself is that of Salah. And even in the hadith books, whichever hadith book we will pick up, whether it be Bukhari, Muslim, Nasai, any hadith book that we will pick up, the largest topic that we will find in any of these hadith books will be that of Salah. Because the rulings pertaining to Salah are many. And we have many different angles and many different scenarios that will turn up when we will pray our daily Salah. There will be many different scenarios that we will come across. And we will be confused that is my Salah done or not. So in these scenarios, this is when we will turn to the fiqh. Now when it comes to fiqh in itself, we will be using a book of fiqh. And the book that I have chosen is Al-Mukhtasar-ul-Qudoori. This is a book, a Hanafi fiqh book, and is a widely accepted kitab of the Ahnaf, written by Imam Al-Hassan, Ahmed ibn Muhammed Al-Baghdadi Al-Qudoori rahimahullah, who was born in 362 after Hijrah. So 362 years after the migration of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Imam Qudoori was around, and he was from Baghdad. And in his lifetime, he mastered the fiqh of Ahnaf, the rulings and the Shariah concerning the rulings of the Ahnaf. Imam Qudoori, he was a master in these, and he has written this kitab, and he has mentioned all the rulings of fiqh in this kitab of his. And inshallah we will go according to this that Imam Qudoori has written. Now why is it important that we learn fiqh from a book of fiqh? Why is it that we cannot go directly to the Quran and the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When it comes to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is full of laws and is full of rulings. And when the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came down, the objective of this Quran is not to be a manual of law. It's not to be a manual of fiqh. That if you have any masail, anything that comes up in our daily lives, that we will open the Quran and there we will find the answer to these daily masail in black and white, and we will be able to act upon these. That is not the objective of the Quran, nor was this the reason that the Quran was revealed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions the guidelines that we need in this Quran. And then the fuqaha, the Sahaba of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the tabi'een, the taba tabi'een, and the ulama that came later, they would extract the rulings that came from these verses of the Quran. And similarly with the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are in more detail, but yet there is no single hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam where we can turn to, and in this one hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the rulings regarding Salah will be found. There is not a single hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam that is like this. That is why we need a book of fiqh, and we need the fuqaha to turn to. Why? Because delving into the Quran, into the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it takes strength, it takes knowledge, and it takes expertise. Then not every individual is an expert in the science of Quran, in the science of hadith. For them to be able to look into the Quran of Nabi Kareem, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, into the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and delve into each one of these and find what is the answer that I'm looking for. If an individual is to do this, is to open Bukhari, and he's got a question on Salah, and if he turns to the Kitab al-Salah in Bukhari, and he begins to read the hadith that Imam Bukhari has mentioned, this individual will be more confused than when he first started. Why? Because he will start with the first hadith that Imam Bukhari has mentioned. He will read the hadith and then he will move on to the next, and he will move on to the next, and a hadith will come. He will read one hadith and another hadith will come which will be saying something totally different. Why? Because the objective of these ahadith kitabs is not to give us the masla regarding these topics. It is to mention the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is a hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It is an historical event that had taken place. A Sahabi is mentioning that this is what I heard from Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what I saw Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing. This is what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam had taught me. These are historical events that took place in the lifetime of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. And each and every one of the Sahaba is just giving an account of what they saw and what they heard of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So delving into just the historical events is not sufficient for us to find what we are looking for. This is when the fuqaha came and they delved into each one of these matters and they combined the ahadith of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and they looked at each one of the ahadith of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and they analyzed and they criticized each one of these. And after doing this, after years of learning, after years of knowledge, this is when they came to a decision that this is my opinion of what the answer of this masla should be. This is why we stick to these fiqh kitabs. If you have a question, we will delve into the fiqh kitabs. We will go into what the fuqaha have written and we will get our answers from these. We will not try to go to the Quran and the hadith ourselves because we will be confused further and we will confuse other people if we do this also. So inshallah, what we will be talking about over the coming weeks. So inshallah, we will cover the rulings in Salah and many other tenets of deen. The rulings like farz, what is a farz, what is a wajib, what is sunnah, what is mubah, what is haram, what is makruh tahrimi. Each one of these inshallah, not next week, the week after inshallah, we will talk about each one of these. And we will talk about what is the rule concerning each one of these. And why do the fuqaha differentiate by what is farz, what is wajib, what is sunnah, or what is haram, what is mubah, what is makruh tahrimi. Inshallah we will talk regarding each one of these. Some of the other topics that we will cover are to do with tahara, of our purity, of our wudu. Because our salah will not be complete if our wudu is not complete. If our wudu is incomplete, then we can know each and every masail when it comes to namaz. We can know namaz inside out, but if from the beginning our wudu and our tahara is not sufficient and is not complete, then our salah is also incomplete. So both of these go hand in hand. And Imam Qudoori and the rest of the fuqaha, when they begin the fiqh kitabs, they always start with tahara. And this is the same with Imam Qudoori in Mukhtasar-ul-Qudoori. Some of the other things is the conditions before salah, the conditions during salah, what we need to ensure when it comes to our salah, what are the conditions that we need to ensure before we even start our salah, even before we start with Allahu Akbar. What are the things that we need to ensure that are complete and we are doing even before we start this. And then inshallah the last session that we will do is the misconceptions and the most common mistakes that take place in our salah and which we see around us and the best way to fix these. And along the lines inshallah we will talk on tips on how to improve our concentration in our namaz also, and how to fix our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to this salah. Because if our connection and our concentration in this salah is not complete, then every action of our salah can't be complete. Even then our salah will be incomplete because we are not concentrating on the maker, which is the objective of this salah. The rest of today inshallah I want to mention before we even start with the course is the importance of salah in itself. That we see around us today that salah is not given the importance that it was given at the time of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The environment of salah at the time of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was such that even the hypocrites of that time, even the munafiqs of that time, they would be in the Masjid at Fajr Salah. The azan for Fajr would take place and the hypocrites and the munafiqs who were only showing that they are believers just to bring Islam down and to take the believers away from Islam. This was the only objective of them saying La ilaha illallah. Even these individuals would be in the masjid for salah. This was the environment that was taking place, and this was the importance that was given to salah. Ibn Kathir rahmatullahi alayhi mentions a narration. On one occasion the Sahaba of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they asked Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, kam bayna as-sama'i wal ard. The Ya Rasulullah, what is the distance? What is the distance between the heaven, between the sky and the earth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How vast is this distance? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he replies that the distance between the heavens, between the first sky and the earth is masiratu 500 sana. That the distance is a distance of 500 years. If an individual was to travel this, it would have taken him 500 years. And we know from the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَإِنَّ يَوْمًا عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ كَأَلْفِ سَنَةٍ مِمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. That one day in accordance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is equivalent to 1,000 وَإِنَّ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ أَلْفِ سَنَةٍ مِّمَّا تَعُدُّونَ 1,000 years. So 1,000 years according to us is one day with regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So 500 such years. And then Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he carries on and he says, وَبَيْنَ السَّمَاءِ, but between each one of these skies, مَسِيرَةُ 500 سَنَةٍ, that there is a distance between 500 years. وَفَوْقَ السَّمَاءِ السَّابِعِ, that on top of the seventh heaven, بَحْرٌ is a sea. From the bottom of the sea to the top of the sea is a distance of 500 years. وَفَوْقَ ذَلِكَ ثَمَانِيَةَ أَوْعَالٍ, and above this is what we call the حَامِلِينَ عَرْشٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَيَحْمِلُ عَرْشَ رَبِّكَ فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ ثَمَانِيَةٍ. On the day of judgment, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be angry like never before, on that day holding aloft the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be 8 angels. And the size of these angels is such that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in a narration in Muslim, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions that أُذِنَ لِي أَنْ أُحَدِّثَ عَنْ مَلَكٍ مِّن مَلَائِكَةِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ مِنْ حَمَلَةِ الْعَرْشِ بَيْنَ شَحْمَةِ أُذُنِهِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me permission to describe to you and explain to you the angels from amongst the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who hold aloft the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The distance between the earlobe of these angels and the shoulder of these angels is a distance of 700 years. So this is the distance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are nothing, we are insignificant. This is the distance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, and this is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet the ulama mention that regardless of this distance, regardless of how great Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, this is just the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Regardless of the distance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made, and the greatness of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet when we stand in salah, and when we say Allahu Akbar, al-musalli idha yusalli, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions that the musalli, when he starts his salah, وَهُوَ يُنَاجِي رَبَّهُ, that he is in direct communion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is directly communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every distance, every obstacle, this distance of 500 years between each of the heavens, this distance of 500 years between that sea above the seventh heaven, this distance of the Hamilin Arsh, and this distance of the Arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is all insignificant. There is no obstacle, there is no veil. When an individual, when he says Allahu Akbar and when he starts his salah, and he is communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directly listening to this individual. He is communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is answering this individual's du'as. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions in another narration, the أَقْرَبُ مَا يَكُونُ الْعَبْدُ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ وَهُوَ سَاجِدٌ. Then individual, he cannot go closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than when he is in sajda in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is not a single time on this earth, there is never a time when this individual is closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than when he is bowing down in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he is making sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the greatness of this one amal of deen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. That we will start our salah, that we will be facing towards the qibla. In another narration, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he even mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even before the qibla in itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to this individual than the qibla in itself. So when he says Allahu Akbar, this is the significance of this one hukam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is given. And in another narration it is mentioned that thousands of years before Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he even came onto this earth, Daniel alayhi salam, a great prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he addresses his people and he addresses his tribe. And Daniel alayhi salam, he says to his people that the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is going to come onto this earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this ummah such a salah, this medium of salah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted this ummah through the medium of Mi'raj. That this bridge that will link this ummah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatness of this is such that Daniel alayhi salam, he addresses his ummah and he says that this ummah will be given such a salah that لو صلاها قوم نوح ما غرقوا ولو صلاها قوم ثمود ما أخذتهم الصيحة ولو صلاها قوم عاد ما أرسلت عليهم الريح العقيم. That if the ummah of Noor alayhi salam was to be given this salah, and if they were offering this salah that the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been given, then the punishment and the flood that came to the ummah of Noor alayhi salam, they would never have been punished in such a manner. If Salih alayhi salam and the qawm of Thamud, if they were given this salah, and if they were given this medium and this connection between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His servant, and if they were offering this salah, then the ummah of Salih alayhi salam would never have been punished and would never have been destroyed in the manner that they were destroyed. And if Hud alayhi salam was given this salah, and the qawm of Ad was given this salah, and if they were offering this salah, then the punishment that came to the people of Hud, that tornado that destroyed this whole town and that wiped the whole tribe, if this ummah and this tribe was offering the salah that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given, then this ummah also would never have been destroyed. But my brothers, if we look around us today, what is the situation of this ummah today? That this ummah is being humiliated, is being kicked from pillar to pillar. This ummah is being trampled upon. It has become a morsel for its enemies, and this enemy is chewing and biting away at this ummah. And this ummah has no stance and has no courage. The situation of this ummah has become such that no security systems of the world are protecting this ummah. That an individual, a father will be fearing for the life of his family members. He will be fearing for the izzat of his family members. He will be fearing for the safety of his children. This is the situation of this ummah today. Yet the prophets thousands of years before this ummah even came into existence, what are they saying? That if the people of Nuh alayhi salam, if the people of Salih alayhi salam, if the people of Hud alayhi salam was to offer this salah, then they would not have been destroyed in the manner that they were destroyed. My brothers, for the answer to this, we have to come back to the Quran and to the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That what is the situation of this ummah? The majority of this ummah has become Bainimazi. The majority of this ummah have left this salah. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and those that are offering this salah, what is the situation of their salah? What is the situation of the salah that those that are even offering their salah? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentions in a narration that man salla salatan liwaqtiha فأصبغ لها وضوءها وأتم لها قيامها وركوعها وسجودها وخشوعها خرجت وهي بيضاء مصفرة تقول حفظك الله كما حفظتني. That individual who offers his wuzu, he completes his wuzu like Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has shown us, and like Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam had instructed this ummah to offer their wuzu. And after offering and completing his wudu, this individual, he starts his salah, and he fulfills each and every tenet of this salah, and he fulfills each and every action of this salah. He fulfills the khushu and the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He fulfills the qiyam of this salah. He fulfills the ruku and the sajdas of this salah. What happens after this individual, he finishes his salah? The kharajat wa hiya bayda'u musfira. This salah, he will leave this individual in a beautiful white body, in a beautiful white shape. It will turn around to this individual and he will make dua for this individual. Hafidhakallahu kama hafiztani. That may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you like you protected me. On the other hand, the individual who offers his wudu, and he quickly offers his wudu, missing parts and leaving parts dry from his wudu, and then he starts his salah, he says Allahu Akbar, and the only thing that he should be thinking of is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leaves his heart and leaves his mind, and he is thinking about the worldly life around him. He does not fulfill his ruku, he does not fulfill his sujood, he does not fulfill his qiyam. What happens when this individual finishes salah? Kharajat wa hiya sawda'u mudlima. This salah will leave his body in a black form, and this salah will rise to a certain place, and he will turn around to this individual, and he will address this individual, and he will say to this individual, Dhayya'akallahu kama dhayya'tani. Then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroy you like you have destroyed me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroy you and curse you like you have destroyed me. If the salah of this ummah is cursing this ummah, then how do we expect our situation to change? My brothers, it is not nice to start off on a negative. We do not want to start this course off on a negative. But these are the words of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and these are the commandments of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That today this ummah has become an ummah that has left his salah. An ummah that even those that are offering their salah, they are not offering and they're in a manner which if the fuqaha were to look at this manner, they would say you are not offering your salah. On one occasion, Hazrat Huzaifa radiallahu anhu, was Hazrat Talha radiallahu, one of the two Sahaba of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They entered a masjid, and there they saw an individual offering his salah, like this hadith has mentioned. This individual, before he has gone into ruku, before he has completed his ruku, he has stood up for his qiyam. Before he has finished this, he has gone into his sajda. Before he has even been able to complete his sajda, he stood up from his sajda. Upon seeing this individual salah, this Sahabi of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he asks around, and he comes to know that this individual has been offering his salah in this manner for 40 years. This Sahabi, he goes to this individual and he says to this individual, Allah's qasam, you have not been offering your salah for 40 years. This salah that you have been performing, this is not salah. And then he says that if you were to die in this manner, if you were to die in this condition that your salah is of such a level, then I fear that you may not even die as a believer, you may not die as ummati of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That this is the importance of our salah. That we fulfill, that we try our best, that the books of fiqh, they will not be able to teach us the regard for this salah. This is how to hold this salah in high regard. This is ourselves. We need to give this regard to this salah. And we need to hold this commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the regard that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum gave to this salah. That even on his deathbed, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he is on his deathbed, the last few words and the last advice that he gave to this ummah. The ummati as-salah, as-salah. The blessed head of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is in the lap of Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is giving his last advice to this ummah. What is the advice that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gives? Ummati as-salah, as-salah. That oh my ummah, safeguard your salah. Oh my ummah, safeguard your salah. That this salah, that today, that if we have become an ummah, that if it fits in with our schedule, then we will offer this salah. And if it does not fit in with our schedule, then we will leave this salah and we will make this salah qadha. And we will leave it for a later time. My brothers, the situation of a Muslim and that individual who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be such that he schedules his daily routine around this salah. He schedules his daily actions and his daily commitments around this salah. That today, these are the things that I have to do. And these are the timings of salah. He needs this, the situation of a Muslim should be that he puts his namaz in his schedule. After his namaz has been put into his schedule, after this he puts the rest of his things that he needs to do in his schedule. And he fills his day like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Muddathir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he describes the day of judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that إِلَّا أَصْحَابَ الْيَمِينَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُنْ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ وَلَمْ نَكُنْ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he describes the situation on the day of judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions that when the people of Jannah, when those individuals will be given their book of deeds in their right hand, when they will be entered into paradise, and those individuals who will be given their book of deeds in their left hand, they will be thrown into the pits of hell. The people that will be in paradise, they will ask, and they will begin to question those that have been thrown into hell. عَنِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. They will be questioned عَنِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ, from those who were the mujrimeen, who were the transgressors, who had committed wrong against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will begin to question these individuals, and they will ask مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ. That what action of yours and what deed of yours led to you being thrown into the pits of hell? What was it that you did in your daily life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has punished you in such a manner that He is punishing you today, what will their reply be? And the first reply that they will give, and they will say, is قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُمْ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. That they will reply that we were not from amongst those who offered their salah. We were not from amongst those who would pray their salah. We were not from amongst those who would bow their heads in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has thrown us into the pits of hell. And we are punished in a manner like this because of just one of these deeds, that we were not offering the salah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told us to do so. So my brothers, it is incumbent on each and every one of us that we first and foremost, we give this salah its due regard. And we make an effort in our daily lives that if we are only offering one salah, then we make an effort that we fulfill this commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we come and we offer 5 times daily prayers. We offer the 5 salah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us to do so. And whatever happens in our daily lives, whatever commitments we may have, before we fulfill our commitments, we come and we bow our heads in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we complete this salah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us to do so. And after bringing this in our daily lives, then we try to fulfill and we try to complete this the rulings of this salah, the rulings that we will talk about. Inshallah, we will keep this course, it will be interactive. Any questions that you may have, you feel free, raise your hands and stop me at whatever juncture you don't understand, or you have a question. Raise your hands and ask that question. And inshallah, if I am able to do so, I will answer that question, or else I will check that question for you. And our viewers that are listening online, for them, I will put an email address on this video. You can email us with whatever questions you may have, and you can ask whatever questions you may have regarding this salah. That our objective in this course should be that whatever shortcomings that we have in our salah, in this course we need to fulfill these shortcomings, so that we are confident that when we offer our salah, we are offering it to the best of our abilities, and we are not leaving anything to our side. And after our presentation and after this course, we will leave time for questions and answers, and any questions that you may have, you can ask in that time also. Inshallah, next week we will carry on with our course, and we will talk regarding this fiqh and the rulings of salah, and what are the rulings pertaining to this salah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give each and every one of us tawfiq to act upon what has been said today. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.